Good morning and welcome. I always say good morning no matter where you are because it's traditional from my teacher. He said, every moment is a fresh start. So it's always good morning. And welcome to this session of guided mindfulness and awareness and compassion practice. What we'll do today is I thought rather than do a lot of different practices, sometimes we do the sense perception practices, and you can see those on other recordings on my YouTube channel. But today I thought we'd focus on basic mindfulness practice, and we do a grounding and a centering to prepare us for that. A basic mindfulness practice and a extended an awareness practice that grows out of the mindfulness practice. It's kind of a combination of mindfulness and awareness in which we don't stay so closely with the breath, but go out and let go. Then we take that and expand it even further and open that out to into the compassion practice. And what's required for the compassion practice is this basis of great openness. We have a groundedness for the mindfulness practice and great openness for the compassion practice. I also thought after we do the grounding practice, before we start the formal mindfulness, the sitting practice, I wanted to show people a mindfulness on the go practice. So that's the sequence that we'll do today. Let's start by taking a good posture. And in the tradition, they say, taking good posture and you're halfway there. When we line everything up, our energy flows more freely and our breath flows in a more relaxed way, and it's easier for the mind to settle. So we'll start with posture, and that is actually, before we even start the posture, we tend to be so much in our heads. I want to take the opportunity to kind of get us embodied, fully inhabit your body. And you can even do this standing up if you want. Just to move each part of your body a little bit and feel it. We're going to go from the ground up. So start with your toes. Wiggle your toes, roll your ankles, feel the soles of your feet and the tops, the insteps of your feet. Really feel what it means for you to be in your feet. Ankles, flex your calves, and if you point your toes and then raise your toes, you can feel your shins, that muscle along the front of your shins. Sometimes we don't use it enough. At some points, it can cramp up. So feel that. We have a front and a back. The calves behind us, the shins in front. Feel your knees, thighs, all the big muscles in your thighs, the adductors in the inside, quads, the hamstrings, everything. Move your hips, feel your pelvis. If you're sitting, feel how the sit bones press into the cushion, really where your weight is really into the seat or cushion that you're on. Feel your lower back, torso. If we move it a little bit, we feel the whatever tightness is there, all the way up our back, and then around the rib cage. Go back down and feel the deep belly coming up just above your pelvis, all the way up to your solar plexus. We have a thickness, a width that very often we experience ourselves as just our front, like two-dimensional. Feel the width of your rib cage, shoulder blades, pecs, chest, collarbone, your shoulders, all the way out to from your neck to out the point of the shoulders. You move them around, roll them a little bit, and all the way down your arms, biceps, triceps, all the muscles, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, and fingers. That's kind of the thing we have the most connection with. It's like sometimes we're like a head with arms going out and doing things, especially when we're working on our computer. Feel your fingers, back up the arms, shoulders, neck, move your jaw a little bit. Feel how your head balances on your neck and shoulders. Move your face around, open your eyes wide, let them relax, and move your jaw a little bit. Good. Now, let's do the grounding practice. First, we're going to do a body scan. We'll take our posture and then scan for the unnecessary tension. So to start with, we need some tension to hold the posture. Just feel like your back is upright, but not rigid. Your chin isn't floating up in the air. Your head isn't tilted forward. But if you feel that it's not just your back, but the back of your head is included in that uprightness, your chin kind of naturally comes in. When there isn't that leaning forward with your chin sticking out or floating up, the flow of air in through your nostrils and it goes straight down. It's not a curve kind of thing that happens if your chin's out here. So it helps to have that uprightness through your neck as well, without being too stiff. Don't try too hard. So we have the tent pole of our spine, and then we're going to let the rest feel like it's just the canvas hanging from the tent pole before we pull it taut. And let your arms hang down. Leave the elbows where they are and let your hands swivel up. And the two traditional postures are hands one on top of the other. I'll show you like this. Oops. There we go. One on top of the other, just in your lap, so that your thumbs are lightly touching just near your navel. Or the other is hands palm down on each thigh, not stretched out, but as I said, leave the elbows so your upper arms are straight down, and then swivel your hands up, palm down on each thigh. Your legs can be loosely crossed in front of you, or if you're in a chair and your knees are not higher than your hips, if your knees are higher than your hips, just cross your legs at your ankles just in front of you. But if not, you can have your feet flat on the floor about hip width apart. And there's our upright posture, upright but not rigid. Firm back, soft front. Let everything soften. For the first part, gently close your eyes. Oh, and for your jaw, we don't want it hanging slack, but not clenched. So the idea is that your lips are just barely touching or slightly parted. And your tongue can just rest naturally wherever it does in your mouth. Or if it feels comfortable, let it float up. against the upper palate behind your teeth. Start from the top of your head and just scan with awareness. We have just the amount of tension we need to hold our posture. Everything else, just let it melt. It's as if your awareness, just touching it, the tension melts. Like the sun coming up and there's a bush with new snowflakes on the leaves. And as soon as the sunlight, the rays of the sun touch the snowflakes, they just naturally melt. Melt that tension through your eyes, ears, jaw, scalp, neck, your shoulders. Really let them hang like that canvas from the tent pole. Upper arms, chest, and upper back, rib cage all around. Lower back, deep belly. Sometimes if we just let our deep belly relax, we lose our posture. So hold the posture, and at the same time, let that deep belly soften. Hips and pelvis, thighs, forearms, and hands. Let the tension melt. Knees, calves, shins, ankles, and feet. Now let's drop our awareness further into our body. You may have been doing the body scan as if your mind is up in your forehead and you're looking at all the different parts of your body. Let your awareness drop back and down. Imagine your mind dropping back and down, back of your skull and behind your throat. Slowly float your awareness down like a leaf settling slowly to the bottom of a clear pond. Behind your chest, behind your solar plexus, behind your navel. Let your awareness settle there in the deep core of your torso. There's a subtle natural movement as the breath goes in and out, like gentle currents at the bottom of that pond. Really let your weight sink down. Imagine that from that deep core of your torso, your whole body sinks down and merges with the earth. Now you're deeply grounded. It's as if your lower body is part of the earth. Your torso extended upward majestically like a mountain. That's the majestic, dignified quality of that upright posture. For our practice, we'll let the breath just come and go, like the wind. And set your intention of an open mind, open like the sky, without bias, seeing everything below it in the earth, coming and going. So our body is like a mountain, breath like the wind, and mind like the sky. And gently let your eyes open. And I want to show you, I'm going to change the background here for a second. I want to show you something that you can do at any time I wanted to let us get settled for you to be able to experience this, but it's something that you can do at any time during the day. You can do it as a practice sitting still, or you can do it when you're waiting for something. It's kind of mindfulness on the go. And you use your hand, and it has an interesting quality of engaging your sensory experience of your hand. What we're going to do is put your one hand, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to start with my left hand, right in front of you, about the height of the top of your chest. And, excuse me. And so I'm raising it up so you can see, and your palms toward you, and you point your index finger away from you and rest it against right the middle of your index finger against the outside of your wrist. And as you breathe in, run your index finger up the outside of your little finger. Pause for an instant and then more slowly exhale. We want the exhalation to be slower than the inhalation. Down, pause at the bottom, and then inhale up to the top, and then slowly exhale down the other side of your ring finger. Inhale up, and slowly exhale down. Pause, inhale up, pause, slowly exhale down, and then inhale along your thumb, pause, and slowly down the outside of your thumb as you exhale again to your wrist. We reverse to the direction, inhale, pause, and slowly exhale down the inside of your thumb. Inhale along your index finger, pause, slowly exhale. Inhale, pause, slowly exhale. Inhale, slowly exhale. Inhale, and slowly exhale. And that's 10 breaths in 2 5-breath modules. And then you can do the other hand, 5 one direction and 5 the other. So that's 20 breaths in 5-breath modules that you can use anytime. We can discuss this later, but very often when I teach this, people find that after they've gone in one direction, all 5, around the middle, early in the return trip, they feel a shift and a drop and a little deeper relaxation. Right there, the 6th or 7th breath going through. So you may have experienced that. We can discuss that later. But I wanted to give that to you after we did the grounding practice to kind of settle ourselves. And you can do that anytime, wherever you are. And it connects your eyes, your breathing, your mind of awareness, and the sensory experience of both hands, the index finger of one hand and the inside sensations. Someone pointed out to me they're very sensitive, the insides of your fingers, and we don't feel that very often. So it's an enlivening sensation as well. So now readjust, get back to your good posture, hands back, palms down on each thigh. And just be aware of your breathing and let your eyes be about halfway open so that you're looking diagonally downward. So that you're not looking down at your keyboard, you can turn your device to the side or turn yourself to the side. And be aware, not looking at something, but just your soft gaze so that you're aware of the space that you're sitting in. The sense of the breath coming in, filling you, and going out. And what we will use as the object of our attention, what we're focusing on, is the feeling of filling as the breath comes in, the internal sensation, our bodily sensation of filling as the breath comes in, emptying as the breath goes out. Filling and emptying. If a thought takes your mind away from this focus on your attention, it leads to another thought and another, and you realize you're no longer doing the technique. At that moment, as soon as you realize that, you're already back. You kind of woke up from your daydream. At that moment, just smile and go daydreaming or wandering mentally to yourself. And then reinvigorate your posture and pick up on the in-breath, out-breath, internal sensation of filling and emptying. We'll do that for a few minutes. If you've gotten drowsy, just reinvigorate your posture. Open your eyes a little wider. Look more straight ahead. And be aware of the whole flow of the feeling of the breath coming in through your nostrils, filling as if it's going deep into your torso, then coming up and out of your torso and out through your nostrils. The whole flow of starting to fill, filling and full, starting to empty, emptying and empty. And now, take a little mini break. Just move around. It's good to do many sessions of short duration rather than the long march of trying to stay with it for a long, long, long period of time. Once in a while, that is helpful to experience a sequencing that you see as your thoughts evolve, but mainly it's taught that we do many sessions of short practice rather than one long one. Now for the next, reinvigorate your posture. Again, without the chin floating up or head tilted down. Upright but not rigid. Firm back, soft front. And here we work primarily with the out breath. The in-breath will come back in by itself. But we focus on awareness of the breath going out. So look straight ahead, eyes wide open, big open to peripheral vision, the space in front of you, all the space in front of you and around you. As the breath goes out, we want to breathe in always through our nostrils, mainly out through your nostrils. If a little goes out through your mouth, it's not a problem. But as the breath goes out, the actual breath goes out and mixes with the atmosphere and dissolves into the atmosphere. What we do is we put our sense of self, our me-ness, our self-consciousness, mix that, make it one with the breath going out. So as the breath goes out, you go out. As the breath dissolves into the atmosphere, let your mind open up into space. Let that tight sense of who I am, dissolve into openness. And then just rest in the gap that happens while the breath comes in by itself. So eyes wide open, breath goes out, dissolves, rest in the gap. You go out with it. Out, dissolve, rest. As the next out breath happens, pick up on it, come back and pick up on it, out, dissolve, and rest. We'll do that for a few minutes. And in the middle, I'll give you a further instruction. Again, if your mind wanders off into a series of thoughts of a daydream, just smile. Think wandering or daydreaming, and then come back to whatever the next out breath is. Out, dissolve, rest. And at some point, if you're comfortable resting in that open space, Just go out, dissolve, rest, and hang out there, resting in that open space without coming back to pick up the next breath. Out, dissolve, and rest there. And then if the mind flickers into a thought or two, just come back and pick up on the next out breath. But rest for as long as resting continues. And now we'll transition into the compassion practice, which, as I said, is based on open space. So for a moment, go out with a breath, open up, and keep going out. Imagine that your awareness extends out to the sky. Breathe out and extend your awareness out into space among the stars. Let go, open out, and extend your awareness out beyond the farthest star. Rest for a moment in that infinite openness. From that openness, imagine yourself surrounded by all your loved ones. Beyond them is everyone you've ever known. And beyond that, all beings, all human beings, and even all animals, insects, all creatures great and small. We're all part of that vast openness. So although we're all our own individuals, we're not separate. We're not independent of everyone else. We're interdependent. What Thich Nhat Hanh, the great teacher, called interbeing. And because we are all connected, we're all alive, we all have the same wish for happiness and the same wish to be free from suffering. That's the basis for our compassion practice. It's both compassion and loving kindness. Loving kindness is the wish for happiness, for beings to be happy. Compassion is the wish for beings to be free from suffering. We're going to work with our breathing and begin with yourself. And you can do this with your eyes open or closed, whichever is more comfortable. But imagine at your heart center, which is the center of your chest at heart level, an orb of light, a sphere of light, or a crystal made of light, whichever comes to your mind, that represents your true nature, because we all have a heart of wisdom and compassion, potential wisdom and compassion. But that potential is limitless. We want to extend that and use that to take away the suffering of ourselves and others and extend out loving kindness, extend out happiness to them. So begin with yourself, and any negative feelings you have towards yourself, any unwanted emotions, anger, jealousy, greed, insecurity, guilt, shame, gather all those in as you breathe in into the light in your heart center from your whole being. And as you breathe out, the light in your heart center radiates the cool moonlight of kindness that soothes the negativity, that replaces it with kindness. Breathe in unhappiness and extend out to yourself happiness. Breathe in blame or shame, extend out to yourself forgiveness. Gather your anger, fill yourself with patience. Gather your feeling of poverty, fill yourself with a feeling of richness. Gather as you breathe in, radiate as you breathe out. And knowing our interconnection with others, focus on one or more of your loved ones who you know are going through suffering. And imagine that as you breathe in, you are taking their suffering away from them completely, gathering it into the light in your heart center. It instantly transforms to the opposite and radiate out peace and happiness, health and well-being to them. Gather in all the qualities of their suffering and struggle. Breathe out and radiate out, filling them with radiate out that cool moonlight of kindness that fills them with peace, well-being, and happiness. Do that for one or more of your loved ones that you're imagining are there in front of you. and expand the practice to all that you know, including people you have difficulty with. And as you breathe in, gather the difficulty that you're having from them and from yourself into the light in your heart. And radiate out to you, yourself, and to them resolution, acceptance, forgiveness. Breathe in the hard feelings that you have and that they have. Breathe out softening, forgiveness, acceptance to both of you. And finally, extend as far out as you can to all beings. And today, particularly people in war-torn areas. Could be Ukraine, could be shopping centers in America, could be war-torn areas of Africa. Anywhere in the world where there's suffering, aggression, and suffering as a result of it. Breathe in the pain and fear. Gather that in, take that away, at least for a moment, from all those people. Into the light in your heart center and radiate out a moment of peace and safety. Feeling of peace and safety. And this may be the most challenging part. Take away from the aggressors all their hatred, anger, fear, greed, lust for power. Take that away from them into the light in your heart center. Radiate out instead wisdom and compassion to transform their beings, to stop the aggression. As the going fades, let go of the visualization. Come back to your body and your breathing. Filling and emptying. Sitting in your posture in your seat. And traditionally, we close the practice having started with the intention of connecting with others and benefiting others and being as present as we could for the practice. At the conclusion, we dedicate whatever benefit came from the practice to others as well as ourselves. So you can repeat after me or put it in your own words. May the practice I have just done be of benefit to others as well as myself. And as you know, I like to say, if you're feeling particularly generous or would like to cultivate generosity, say, may the practice I've just done be of even more benefit to others than to myself. And thank you. So we can unmute ourselves. Everyone, you're welcome to unmute. I'd love to hear your comments or if you have any questions about the practice. I think I can set it up for everybody to be able to unmute themselves. Can you do that? Yeah, go ahead. I think you can do it by yourself. If you can't, just wave and I'll.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to thank you for the practice, Joe.
Oh, thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. As I said, I get more benefit. I feel like I get the benefit. So then I want to dedicate that to others.
That's so selfish.
Hi, Laura.
I also want to thank you. This was really good today. For some reason, I felt I really got a little bit lost in the last part because I was bringing it personal, kind of, because I live in a place where there's violence going on around me. For some reason, I really felt it. I got personally started feeling really sad about people I know personally who were immersed in that. I still feel sad.
Yes, and the idea is that we to feel it, but not feel like it lands on and accumulates in you, but to feel it, and the light in your heart transforms that sadness and inspires.
It's okay to cry.
Absolutely okay to cry. And you're crying for their pain and you feel it, and then it inspires you to want to send out that cool moonlight of kindness to soothe that pain. If you don't have if you don't feel some of the pain, there's no inspiration to send it out. So but the idea of the openness and the interconnectedness is that it's not a solid thing that you then gather in and accumulate, but rather you transform. And if you can transform suffering into happiness, you can do that for yourself and for others. And that's our wish, to transform all suffering into happiness. The suffering, it's the origin is confusion. It doesn't have an origin in real solid things. It comes out of believing in a mirage. And
I know that so well I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, please.
I was just going to say, I really know that so well from here because I personally know people who were involved in the cartels. I mean, I know them personally as friends and neighbors, and some of them I've helped sort of raise. And they're good people in a lot of ways. They mean well, but they get caught up in this thing, and then they do terrible things, and then terrible things happen to them.
Right.
You can really see it. You can really see it.
Well,
they see themselves as soldiers, so I imagine it's the same thing for all the soldiers, the soldiers in Ukraine, the people who are in wars.
Exactly. Thank you. Amanda?
I began to feel rather hot in the middle part of the meditation. So I did actually change the breathing to cool down a bit. And then when you said turn away from the screen, when I turned away from the screen, there's a table to my right, and on the table there's all these photographs. And although I didn't really choose to look at who was there, I was very aware all those people have gone. And at the moment I am struggling a bit with a lot of loss of people, places, things, well, and what's going on in the world. And I have that propensity to be a bit positive, you know, avoiding the negativity bias. And I'm trying to balance between actually sort of grieving, but not letting it, you know, it's quite tricky for me. I don't know whether you have any advice about grief.
Yes. What you can do is, first of all, not try to push it away and know that it's completely valid. And it is an expression of your heart. It's an expression of your heart. And often, you know, when we're grieving, there's an element of sadness for that person being gone, but very often they're gone and I don't have access to them anymore. It's about me. When my teacher died, I went to one of my other teachers and I was crying and very upset. And I said, "Oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?" And I'm so sad. And I just said how much grief I had. And he said, "Don't worry, he'll be okay." And on his journey, right? And I wanted to say, yes, I know he'll be. I said, I know he'll be okay, but and I wanted to say, what about me? But I couldn't say that. Couldn't say that in front of my teacher, right? So it was a wake up call. Oh, wait a minute, it's what about me? So, but be kind to yourself because you do have that loss. So this is where you do this practice for yourself. And you say, I'm going to gather I have a heart of infinite wisdom and compassion and kindness to myself. So I'm going to accept the grief and gather it in to my heart and feel it and then radiate out. I'm okay. You can radiate that out to yourself, the thought, I'm okay. I feel the sadness. I gather it in. I radiate out, I'm okay. Or I'll be okay. Not I am okay, but I'll be okay. I hope that's
there's a lot of loss though, isn't there?
Yes, because of impermanence.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's the ground of the practice, recognizing the impermanence and how that fighting it is the source of so much suffering.
But it's sort of intellectual, that, isn't it? Recognizing about, you know, we're all going to die and everything's ending. It's kind of intellectual, I think.
Oh, we don't.
People's got to feel.
No, we don't believe it. We go, oh yeah, I know I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But I act like I'm not. Why do we all act like we're not, right?
Yeah.
And so this practice that includes what the suffering that people go through, it wakes you up to it and makes it more real. That's why we're not doing. It doesn't say bring it in through your forehead and out through your forehead. It's your heart center. It's your heart center.
Yeah, no, it's very special, that bringing it and the cool light of the moon and all that. No, it's very, very powerful way. I think it's the best way I've ever really experienced of how to deal with it, to be honest with you. Yeah, definitely. It's very effective. Yeah. Thank you.
That's why I have cool moonlight there.
Yeah, you've got it right there. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Well, we've gone over the time, but I can hang out for a little bit if people have more questions or comments. And feel free to go if you need to go. Bye, Steve. Or did you need to unmute? No, he's gone. Okay. All right. Well, a pleasure. And thank you. I think I'm probably going to skip all of August and start fresh in September. So take August off. I'll let people know, and you can look at my website, the drjoeparent.com website, and you'll see what the next scheduled day is. And we may shift from Fridays to a different day. So we'll keep everybody on their toes.
Okay.
Wonderful to see you,
Thanks, Doc.
Doug and Mike,
Yeah.
and Doug and Mike and Birgit.